Hello there. Once again, this is Anton from Anton Will Bay. Thank you for stopping by the collection room and taking a look at some comics with me today. So I've had a bunch of stuff show up in the mail, and these are some of them. For one thing, I wanted like a random lot of I want to say like 25 comics or 30 comics for, it was $5 and like $10 shipped. So it was like 15 bucks for these 30 books. So I felt like that was pretty good considering what was in them. Most of it was kind of a random lot. There was a few that was really high end, and one of them was AC Comic. Look, I'm always looking for AC Comics. But I came across AC Comics Star Force 6, and I was like, I'm not familiar with that particular book. So yeah, I would take that little lot. It came with some other great stuff in it, which I will eventually get to. I'm gonna kind of go through them as I get to them. But this is a black and white one, and I didn't see the date on here. 1984, Bill Black. And you know, I love Malibu Comics. I love Eclipse Comics. But I think one of my favorites out of all of them has got to be AC Comics. I really love what they produced, and they're still producing books. I appreciate that. Black and white, but that is an excellent shot. And still, I gotta remember, it's a panel. It's not a shot. It's not a photograph. But I end up calling it that anyway because that's what it feels like. Presenting the Star Force 6, Fawn, Buckeye, Samson, Night Owl, Belladonna, and Guard. Well, Guard is a lousy name, but we'll take it. Samson, definitely got the Buccaneer boot thing going on. Kind of looks like Marvel's Goliath. Comic Buyer's Guide Fan Awards for 1984. Huh. Cute. I Conquered the Stars. So as I keep digging through AC stuff, I keep finding like more and more that I didn't know I never heard of. I'm like, wow, I never heard of this, never heard of that, never heard of this. And so it's a lot wider spread company than I thought. I mean, I had like a pretty good idea of most of the books, but it turns out they had a lot more out there than I thought. I was aware of FemForce, of course. That's their big main title. And I've picked up quite a few issues of Paragon, Night Vale, Dragonfly. Those I was readily aware of, but there's so many more little offshoot books, and maybe they didn't run very long, but they're definitely worth checking out. And this one, even though it's a black and white title, and this particular issue has a pretty good crease that runs through the entirety of the book, so I feel like that's probably a manufactured problem. Buckeye. I wonder if he's supposed to be like Bucky. Night Owl. Towel. Night Owl. Okay. I'm seeing somebody stole Wolverine's hair. I like that Night Owl symbol. It's just let's just have a big black owl on your chest. Let's go with that. Looks very sci-fi like. Looks like they are borrowing heavily a lot from another stuff. What next? Enter the Death Force. They are the evil counterpart to the Star Force. Death Owl, Destruction, Crusher, Animals, Death Ray, and Disintegrator. And you know what? They already look more interesting than the regular team, so I like that. I also appreciate AC does seem to advertise for other companies, because you got like Zot, stuff like that going on. So I appreciate that aspect. Another book I was pretty impressed with was Ninja. This is Ninja #1. This is Eternity Comics. I love Eternity Comics. I have a lot of them. particularly their X-Mutants line, their Shattered Earth stuff. There's a lot of books in there that are pretty fantastic. Fantastic. From Me to Eternity. Eternity has kind of its own little style going on. That's a great blast there. So yeah, Eternity has, I like to say that different companies have a house style that looks very similar. I mean, usually if you, without even looking, you can crack open an Image comic and you know it's an Image comic. And you can just at glance usually tell if it's a Dynamite book just by its cover. Marvel and DC have pretty distinctive art styles that you can tell pretty much whether it's a DC or a Marvel comic. But same could be said for Malibu. But Eternity, in my opinion, has this cool. I don't know. It seems like it's always black and white. It has like this kind of stiff-figured film noir type look to it, but like an 80s version of it. And I always think it's kind of cool. And for some reason, when I say stiff, I mean look at the characters. They don't always look that fluidly movement. They always have this kind of stiff appearance to them. And I don't know, just something about it. You can always tell it's an Eternity. There's just an aspect, and they use a lot of shadowing and a lot of issues, interesting things with their lighting. I appreciate it. I'm a big fan of it. So that was that. Ninja. So anytime I see weird Eternity stuff, I'm up for grabbing it, just for those reasons. The last two books are a couple issues of Flare. Must have multiple pieces of Flare. So Flare is from Heroic Graphics or Hero Comics, and that actually she bounces around to several different publishers and stuff like that. But I think she's primarily with Hero Graphics, but I will see her pop in different companies and different books. And she does have a fantastic look. I mean, you gotta give it that. It's kind of like if Dazzler was a stripper, or I don't know what you call that. It's an interesting look. I've always thought it was kind of cool. Now the art in Flare will bounce around a lot to like different styles, different stuff. Sometimes it's color, sometimes it's not. I want to say most of it's color, but I'm pretty sure I have some Flare that's black and white. I love this guy. Like, I just love his stupid hat, his stupid walk, whatever weird powers he seems to have. He kind of reminds me somewhat of the Freakazoid. I don't know, just something about him. I always thought he was massively entertaining. He just looks ridiculous. I don't know exactly why he's in this Western. I especially liked this panel. Flare, what are you doing? Killing him. Oh, okay. I was a little curious. Don't need to question it now. You just fill this all in. Okay, so also in the Flare universe is you get like Lady Arcane. There's several others I'm trying to remember, but quite a bit. And this story in the back was a little more risque than normal. There's one thing I think Flare bounced around with being from one time, kind of an all ages comic to sometimes less so. Those are really, I just love those superhero designs. Look at that. We're from the 70s. Yep. I don't know if this is some sort of like sexy dentist chair or what, but that's what it is. That's why I immediately saw it and thought, dentist chair. And there's a crossover with Not Ultron. Subscribe and save. That's one thing. Flares were expensive, $275. And for a reference point, let's take a look at the date here. 1988. 88. $275 in 1988. That's a pricey comic. But yeah, I think Flare started out as kind of a more mature comic. Comics are not just for kids anymore. Clear back in 88, they were doing some pretty heavy plots, heavy art, heavy story. But I also want to say, like, as it got newer, as time progressed on, it got a lot more tame. I've picked up some newer issues of Flare that are still being produced, it seems, and or at least newer. I don't know if they're still like readily being made, but they seem a lot more tame. Of course, the 80s was the wild, wild west sometimes in comic book land, and you could do all sorts of things. And the modern stuff, it's both worse and toned down at the same time. So take it or leave it. That guy looks like Space Skeletor. Dear Diary. Now, I also found it weird that Flare's written comments were called Dear Diary. I just thought that was kind of crazy. Flare bonus starring her sister Sparkplug. So if this is Sparkplug, I'm down with that, because I love this costume design. You don't see orange and yellow used enough together, and this, you know, that just looks great. Orange and yellow used together. Sparkplug. There you go. It's good costume design. My back pages. Definitely like the style of art. I'm loving the colors. It just seems like, okay, there's a character from FemForce, Stardust, who also uses orange and yellow and is blonde, and I just think that that's a great color. I think that really looks good. And maybe it's dated, maybe I'm wrong, but I absolutely love that design. So Champions. I've run into these characters in several other publishers, I believe. Icicle, Rose, and Ice Star. I know I have seen in what other company is that book? There's like they bounce around in different publishers. If I remember right, I swear I've seen them in different things. And Retribution. I'm sure I don't know what you mean. That's exactly what you want to say right before somebody starts to beat you. And then black and white. I know I have issues in black and white. Anyway, Flare is one of those kind of early on 80s wild books, and it's ones that I know they're a little more on the risque side, but I also really appreciate them just for just trying something different in the 80s. And they're one of the books, if I see one, I will usually pick them up. I will grab them. And I also see they've been starting to talk about, I swear I've been seeing like Flare with the FemForce, so I'm gonna have to look for that and see if I can find more of that and see what that's about. But those are my comics today. These were big issues. Both these Flares are 52 pages, and they did a lot of them where they compressed a lot of smaller comics into one big and produced a lot of books. So that's my story. Thank you guys for watching. I will catch you later. Bye.